Rubens, can we just go back to the Brazil factor and Ayrton passing away and you being anointed by the country as the next Senna? What was it like coming back in subsequent years to the Brazilian Grand Prix? Because you had can I say you had a lousy record? Was it 9 consecutive retirements? I think it was at one point.
And probably all hydraulic. I couldn't stand for the fact that I said, don't tell me it was hydraulic that I stopped. I said, yes, it was. Jesus Christ. So
what was the Brazilian Grand Prix like for you each year? Can you try and describe the cauldron?
For a time, it was tough. For a time, it was tough because I still lived in Interlagos, so I could walk to the circuit from my house. Then I felt too much pressure here. People hanging on outside the house, things like this. So
Can I say, so during the Grand Prix weekend, you would be staying here in Interlagos?
Yeah, for the beginning of my career, yeah.
People,
I would tire the first year I cycled to the circuit. So, but then there was a big difference for me when Ayrton was present. You could see that people were not looking at you. That makes a change in your mindset because you say, okay, whatever I do, I'm fine. I just need to please maybe my dad, my mom, my sis, or you see, it's a kind of a keto mentality to say that, but it's a true thing. And without Ayrton in '95, I was left foot braking, and nobody knew by the data that I was actually pressing the brakes on the start line with the bumps. My foot would be hanging onto the pedal, and I was braking. And I was like 10 kilometers down on Irvine, and I was saying, man, it's like me putting my hand up on the airbox, and nobody knew that. And then I jump out of the car and I say, Dad, the next thing is I'm going to kill myself because I'm taking too many risks. And I remember crying, and my contact lenses fell off. We had to run to the house to pick up another one. So you see, those silly small things that made me stronger later. But at that time, it was so tough because I was faster than most of the corners than Irvine, but I wouldn't go on the straight. And there was no data that was good enough for that time because after 5 races, we went to Montreal, or 4 or 5 races, I became a right footer again. We've done some changes at the paddles and so on, and I qualify up front, and I finished second. Yeah. And so then, for someone who sweat, for someone who works, it will come the time. You just have to be patient because you want the time to be now, but the time is not ours. We just have to be patient.
So, Rubens, when did you feel you got on top of the Brazil situation? Was Jackie Stewart a factor in helping you navigate that?
Yes, but I never did. I never got on the top of that. It's funny you say that, but I never really got on the top of that. And it's good that you still fear something. My father always said, if you're going to the sea, you have to respect. Don't go to, when you cannot touch the ground anymore, because it can take you. So you have to have a little fear by something in order for you to respect. So you can see like a 2-year-old something coming, they don't fear anything. And if the father don't say, hey, just calm down or just stop, all of a sudden you see he comes back with a broken arm or something because there's no fear, there's no respect for that environment. So I've always been a guy who I needed to study myself. And it's probably, I can see that you're fascinated by that because I became like a speaker in Brazil to tell people, to motivate people, because I've been motivating my kids, and this is fantastic. They both racing, they both doing stuff, and they are actually making something that it will show me more, it will teach me more. We learn every day. So why I say that I never got on the top of the Brazilian, because the Brazilian is a different public. You can see Argentina now with Colapinto. You can see they flew to Brazil and they really own him, and they are giving a lot of support. Okay, so let's watch the next step. Let's see how the boy is going to do, and let's see how the fans are going to behave. Because the media in Brazil, it's a bit of a, oh yeah, let's support. But the first time you make something wrong, they put you down. So you have to be in peace with yourself.
What difference did the podium in 2004 make in terms of your relationship with the crowd at Interlagos, the media?
It was the minimum possible. I mean, that day when I started with the wets, I disappeared, and all of a sudden it dried. But that day, I finished third, giving my very best, and I think Schumacher was seventh. So you see, I was the best Bridgestone at the time, so I would have won the race in case we had equal terms and everything. 2003, take the fact that we lost telemetry. I was winning by 20 seconds. If Schumacher didn't crash on his lap that he was supposed to stop, which was a lap before me, he would have finished without fuel on the track. So they would have called me. And Schumacher crashed.
So they never knew, and you ran out of fuel.
I ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
So you see, those things, if you put too many questions, why? But why? And then you never go forward. So I think that I got on the top of my stuff and became better with myself, treating myself better, when I started to put too many questions.
When was that? When was Rubens Barrichello at his peak?
I was still at my peak when I finished at Williams. Unfortunately, Williams at that time wasn't really. They didn't have someone who stand up and say, we should do this, come down here. There was too many people owning the team, and they need money. So I was contracted for 2012, which was a car that I devoted so much. It was so much better with that engine, with the Mercedes engine, and all of a sudden I had a call saying that I wasn't on the car. But I was still at my peak at that time.
And you might have won Barcelona 2012, right?
Well, I might have won Brazil.